My name is Ben Brabin. I'm head of Level 39, which is a technology accelerator space in Canary Wharf in East London. Well, I think that this is one of those uncertainties which we cannot really usefully speculate about. Whether exactly how the outcome of the passporting negotiations plays out, it is a good idea for all early stage companies to be preparing for both outcomes and deciding whether they really want to be exposed to that particular issue.
The UK will have to set up a different framework for all sorts of laws, not just in the technology sector. I think what we will now do is adapt the rules and regulations to suit actually our industries, of which technology is a thriving industry and fintech is huge in London. I think the UK government is very much planning on tailoring all our rules and regulations and the statutory environment to benefit UK companies, and the tech sector will be one of them.
The challenges faced by divergent regulatory systems are certainly significant for many financial institutions, but there's huge opportunity here as well. So Canary Wharf was largely a result of Big Bang several decades ago, and I think that we see now an opportunity, if the government is sufficiently bold, to return to that fantastic sort of rate of transformation. And I think that now is a great time, both for the private sector and for the government, to be bold.
Finance, almost by definition since 2008 anyway, is going to be a highly regulated sector, and those regulations already differ from America to Europe. If we then have another whole set of different policies here, that becomes ever more complex. Now, there have been a number of international centres, look at Hong Kong, Singapore, that have managed to attract lots of finance companies despite not being part of major trading blocks. So it is possible, but it does require a business-friendly, low-regulation climate, and it requires commitment from the government to keep those jobs here.
The numerous regulations that affect both technology and other businesses in the UK, which come from the EU, which actually just aren't suited to the way we work. And we have a great legislative framework in the UK. People are worried about all kinds of social problems, lack of social support or disability and all the other things they talk about. But actually the UK has always been a leader in coming up with that legislation, and in fact ahead of Europe. So I think the UK is well placed as a stable, safe environment with a mature, well set up statutory framework to create its own laws and regulations that suit us, as well as suit the idea of fairness.
One of the biggest concerns for me personally about Brexit is how it will affect how able we are to acquire talent from the rest of the world. Also, we've just got great people who are already working here, and I want to make sure that they're still working here in 5, 10, forever years' time.
Talent is the single most important resource, and anything which we can do to make sure that the UK and London remain an attractive destination for talent, I think we should consider and enthusiastically pursue. Of course, that has to be reconciled against the concerns that people raised in the referendum, and indeed the concerns that we see being expressed not only across Europe but in other parts of the world as well. We have to balance that, but I would suggest that it is in all of our interests to make sure that the UK remains a really attractive destination for the brightest and most ambitious innovators.
Obviously, Brexit is going to involve lessening immigration or controlling immigration in certain ways. That seems to be what the country has voted for, but at the same time, not having to go through impossible bureaucracy for particularly talented people who have job offers is really key.
I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Bosnia and Herzegovina is not in the European Union, so that means that I need entrepreneur visa in order to be able to work in my business here. That is really complicated process, and everyone else who is coming outside of the European Union must pass that process. So imagine what's going to happen when and if that visa policy is introduced to European founders as well. That can make life of so many founders from the European Union much more difficult.
The UK tech sector will be worried about getting resource because they're shutting off the EU, or they think they're shutting off the EU. But what the government has alluded to, and what most leaders have alluded to, is we can actually think about this the other way, by opening the doors to the right people around the world. If that's in the US, that's in the Ukraine, that's in Hong Kong and China, we can do more than just limiting ourselves to the pockets that exist in Europe. And that will be a great benefit to the technology sector. We need experts from around the world.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.